Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out. I'm up here for the incident management team. Welcome on Facebook. So we have people in here, really welcome. So tonight's intent meeting is to talk about the Cram Fire, which we just got a recent update that at 3 o'clock they did a infrared flight, and it is now at just over 95,000 acres. So that's a lot, right? So really what we're going to do tonight is we have really subject Jim. We want you to go to that person you have a specific question for and ask your question. So that's really the important part, and that really makes it go well. For Facebook, we're not going to answer your questions live. However, if you have questions, put them in the comments and we will get back to you whenever we can do that for you. So we won't be trying to get those questions and answer them here tonight. Really what we're going to start with is our operations team. So our two operations chiefs for our incident management team.
I'll try to move around a little bit, but just so everybody can see on the map. My name's Scott Stutzman. I'm structural operations for the incident management team on the fire. And I'm going to talk about kind of our structural operations and what we have out there. Currently assigned to the fire, we have 14 strike team task forces. We have 8 task forces during the day, and then 6 task forces or strike team task forces at night, for a total of 14. We have the fire divided into 2 structure groups. Structure Group Orange, which is kind of really becoming kind of a division in Romeo, counterclockwise through November, Mike, and Delta there. So Structure Orange has kind of that area of responsibility. And then our southern structure group is Structure Group Blue, and they're overlapping into Delta, Alpha, and then over into Tango, and then up into Romeo again. So we're overlapping those areas of responsibility. The structure resources currently are out there in the northern part of the fire. We've had really favorable conditions today. They're doing a lot of patrolling, mopping up in and around the structures that have been affected by the fire. There's some structures within the footprint of the fire that they're also going in there and continuing to mop up around there and assess and reevaluate those structures. The whole Structure Group Blue or Structure Group Orange idea that we're working with is as they free up more and more space to more of a patrol status where they're able to go back and reevaluate those. They're pushing the Structure Group Blue down further south as we've had greater gains in the southern edge of the fire and southeast. So they're taking on a little bit more area of responsibility. Structure Group Blue down here is doing the same thing. They're looking at the fires the structures that have been affected by the fire and the structures that are just outside of the fire perimeter. So they're continuing to evaluate those, provide structure protection throughout the whole fire, both structure groups, and then looking out kind of ahead of the fire to see what structures are out there ahead of the fire should the fire progress further. With that, I think the other thing is we've brought in another person just to increase our capacity to really kind of just start looking at those structures around the fire perimeter that we're not able to focus on. So their primary job is going to be more at that strategic level, looking and planning for for those structures and what it looks like to protect those structures and how many resources it'll take to do that should the fire progress further south, over to the east, and then also kind of up into the north. Though I feel really confident that up the north is really looking good right now. With that, thank you for being here and have a good day.
Good afternoon, thanks for coming. My name is Dean Lang. I'm part of the operations team on this fire. This fire, as you know, started about the 13th. And so, as you know also, that this thing gobbled up huge chunks of land right off the bat, mostly in grass and sage. And so, a couple of days later, we got going with High Desert team was on it first, then ODF, and then the State Fire Marshals. One of the things that we do when we get to a fire like this is we get with the agency administrators and we ask them, what's important to you guys? What's your values at risk? And then we ask them to prioritize those things, right? So, obviously in this case, the city of Madras was number one. So then we can go ahead and start basing all of our actions based on the priorities that the agency administrators set, right? And again, the agency administrators that you have locally were ready to go. They had their list, they had their priorities, and so we were off and running from day one. So that's how we handle as far as where we go on these fires as far as what's important to the locals. Okay, so I'm going to go around the horn a little bit. Up here in Division Delta and Mike and November, all that stuff on the top is looking really, really good, right? The lots of the line is put in. If you see these big lines, that means it's either a dozer line or it's cold. And so all that area is looking really, really good. As this thing spread to the south, southeast, as you know, we've had red flag days, 2 days in a row with that big wind push, especially yesterday. We got the growth down here. So we got some areas of concern over here by Trout Creek. That thing spotted a couple of times yesterday. Yesterday was very active. When I say spotted, I'm talking 40, 50 acres at a pop. And so the crews really had their hands full, but they were on it. We had a ton of aircraft flying on this thing. If you're really local, you saw a lot of retardant flying and a lot of helicopters flying, and to the point where every single thing that we had that flew was working on these spots, right? So we got some luck and some skill, and that Trout Creek piece kind of stayed right there, and so we're in good shape there. Down here on this southeast piece, down in that Barber country, we got this big growth, right? Yesterday, this all was new yesterday, right? So these folks were stepping in and fetching. They got a handle on it. I'm happy to say that as of now, I talked to Airtac not too long ago. He said everything was looking pretty darn good. He said, think of it as a 3-sided finger. And so the east and the west were looking real good. This thing's almost completely lined, and by the end of shift tonight, we'll be lined with dozer line, hand line, a lot of retardant. And then we also have some of our specialized crews, our Type 2 IA crews, and our hotshot crews, and dozers and skidgens and all kinds of stuff, putting this stuff to bed. Okay, so most of the smoke that you see out there is all interior, right? That's not a problem. We care about the stuff, the heat and the smoke and the fire on the perimeter. And so as of now, things are looking pretty good. Anytime that we have, you'll also notice that this, if you've been watching the maps, that this island of unburned will continue to close, and eventually it'll probably be completely closed, so that's expected also. Like always, when we are working on a plan A, we're also formulating plan B and C, and we call those contingency lines. We've got those on the maps. We can discuss that afterwards if you want to pin me down over by a map and really get down into the nitty-gritty. I'll be there to answer those questions. But as we speak right now, we're looking pretty good. If we can get through today is the last part of that red flag day, we're supposed to get a little bit of a coolness and some westerlies, and that's going to help us too. We do have an absolute ton of equipment and folks ordered, but as you know, there is a lot of fire on the landscape across the west, and so getting stuff can be kind of rough sledding sometimes, but we're working on it. With that, I'm going to hand this over to Brian, who's the Jefferson County Sheriff.
Good luck. Evening, everybody. Brian Schedule, Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. I'm the emergency manager. So they're going to change the map, and then we'll go from there. So the evacuations haven't changed in quite a few days. Some of these to the south are just safety. It's all for safety precautions. Obviously, there's a lot of fire in there. Anticipate this to stay the same way for about 24 hours. Up here in Wasco County, they're kind of following our lead for the evacuations for safety and for their concerns. Down here in Crook County, it's level 2, and they wanted me to put out from Crook County Sheriff that on Ochico Forest 27 Road, it's level 2, and they encourage people to try to camp anywhere else this weekend and kind of avoid that area. Also, Forest Service, I was told, is starting to place some closures in all these areas over here. And I want to reiterate that was this morning information out there that Trout Creek pullout for rafting was closed, but it is open. So with that being said, that's going to be the same. Thank you. And I'll turn it over to Rebecca.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rebecca Musley, the incident meteorologist assigned to the fire. Really quickly, to kind of summarize my job is to provide that intimate weather information for operations and for firefighter safety. So for the last couple of days, we've been tracking that red flag warning that has been in effect for dry and windy conditions, and we have seen that manifest. So yesterday, we were getting those gusts to 20 miles an hour with our relative humidity below 15%, and then right when I left the incident command post today, we were seeing gusts upwards of 25 miles an hour. All of those winds have been from the northwest. Now, the northwesterly wind is going to be the predominant direction for the next several days. However, we're not seeing those same speeds for the next couple of days. So we're going to be looking at a northwesterly wind around 7 to 8 miles an hour, maybe those periodic gusts up to 15, but in general, lower than what we've seen. We are also going to see a cool down, so temperatures on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday are going to be much cooler than what we've seen. I'm not seeing any temperatures in the 90s, so I know I'm happy about that. One thing I do want to bring to your attention, though, and something that you should definitely be tracking the National Weather Service forecast office in Pendleton at weather.gov/Portland, is that on Monday we do have a slight chance for thunderstorms. That's about a 15% chance. Right now they're looking wet, which is good. That means that they'll be associated with rain, but I will be continuing to keep that the crews posted and operations posted. And like I said, if you have any questions about watches,
Good evening, folks. My name is Mike Decker, and I'm with the Bureau of Land Management here representing Kaufmas Fire Service as well. I just want to talk a little bit about the weather and what we've had over the past month or so. It's been extreme. We've had lightning busts, and we've been chasing fire after fire across the region in a very fire-wise community, right? We all know about fire because we face it every year, and you all are a part of that because you pay attention to it, and you try to prep yourselves for that. The firefighters already are seeing a little bit of weariness because they've been running from fire to fire, and I got to be honest with you, when we hit this one, we hit it pretty hard because of that, right? We brought a lot of resources to bear. Air resources, our partners came to bear, the RFPAs, our county partners, Jeffco, our Forest Service partners, and they were able to do that because we create agreements with them on the off season. We have a lot of conversations, we build a lot of relationships with those folks, and so that we're prepared in this type of an area to handle what we received that evening. That said, we didn't quite cut the mustard that first day. We do a really good job of catching those initial fires, usually within the first 24 hours. We call that initial attack. But this time it was just a little too much and was moving a little too much for the forces that we could put to it. The air, the winds that we had that night made it dangerous. To be honest with you, it was dangerous to fly, it was dangerous to put firefighters on the ground, but we were doing our best, but it was a lot. We had 2 Type 3 incident commanders on the scene over the first couple of days who had already spent many days fighting fire in the local area, so they had done a ton. But at some point we had to bring in something to handle this. We brought in a critical incident management team to help us handle that, Team 10, and we're really glad that they're here and they've been doing a good job. We've got boots on the ground now in areas and more capabilities because they're here. That said, a lot of what is here, including OSFM, out there supporting the homeowners, out there supporting the RFPAs, out in areas that not are always traditional places that they work, but they've been doing it a lot over the last few years, and without them, I don't think that we could do a bunch of the work that we've gotten done. Not to mention ODF, we come together with them on a regular basis as well. They're a big part of our response in this Central Oregon area, and we couldn't do it without them. That said, we're bringing in an air resource management specialist as well soon to monitor the air. We've got it on order. The smoke's been bad over the last couple of days. We know that. It's been moving around a little bit, and then some mornings it's really sitting on us. That there's things that you should pay attention to when that air is that bad. And I know in a Firewise community, you all know that as much as anybody. But getting us a little more information a little more often is important to us, and we're going to try to get you that information coming soon. That said, I'm going to pass this off to my partners. Forest Service, next.
Thank you, Mike. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Jeff Marzell, and I am the new Forest Supervisor for the Ojico National Forest and Crooked River National Grasslands. I've been on the job for just under 7 weeks, and it's been really interesting. And I've come back to Central Oregon. I started my Forest Service career in the Ojico National Forest, so I've been gone for 10 years, and it's great to be back in Central Oregon in July. On your homes, on your property, on your livestock, on the air you breathe, on your mental health. And so I just want to acknowledge that this is very difficult to kind of have to live through this kind of thing. Now, unfortunately, I've been in your shoes before. I was a district ranger in Happy Camp, California. Anyone been to Happy Camp? It's a unique place. It was a good personal and professional growth experience for me, but I was evacuated, I can't tell you how many times, and we breathed smoke even when my wife was pregnant. So my point is, I sympathize, I empathize. I've been there, and also know that we have a lot of employees who are also being impacted by this fire. And as you've heard, this is tough country to fight fire in. These are tough conditions to fight fire in. This fire has grown to 100,000 acres in 5 days. You heard about the weather, you know about the fuels, you know about the red flag warnings, the canyons, the steep terrain. All of that stuff makes firefighting very, very difficult. But I guess I want you to know that this is what we call a full suppression fire. This team and all our fire resources and the agency administrators are aligned that we are going to do everything we can to put this fire out as soon as possible without, of course, risking the lives of our firefighters. And we're also out there making sure that we're protecting all those critical values at risk that was mentioned early in the presentation. And I'm talking about, obviously, public safety, homes, property, those things I mentioned earlier. But critical infrastructure, we got gas lines out there, power lines. We've got livestock. We've got sensitive ecological, cultural, and social political resources as well that we need to keep an eye on. And the team is doing everything they can to make sure that we're mitigating those unwanted effects. Another critical value at risk that's sometimes overlooked in my career is our relationships with our community. This is huge for me as a new forest supervisor. I want to be that community asset. I want to do the things that represent and reflect your values and interests. And so my experiences have been a fire like this can either make or break a relationship with the community, and we intend to make sure that we're making that relationship with the community. So I know we're going to do everything we can to make sure information is timely, it's accurate, and if you need any additional information that you're not getting, go to the team, go to any of the agency administrators, and we'll make sure that you get that information as soon as possible. It's been mentioned, this is new for me, coming back to Central Oregon. This is a model of collaboration and partnership, and I'm very proud to be representing the Forest Service, but working closely with my partners in ODF, BLM, Oregon State Fire Marshals, still learning that acronym, and all the other local first responders. We're really in this together. We're many agencies, but we're speaking with one voice, with similar interests, and with similar objectives. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge the RFPAs. That's also something that's very new for me. But what a fantastic thing to have in your community, these RFPAs. They know the ground, they're in the communities, they have the relationships, and I'm really excited and proud of the work that they're doing, and I'm really excited to be a partner with them. So in conclusion, like I said, we're committed to getting this thing done as soon as possible. And just know that we'll continue in our efforts with absolute resolve, so you guys can move on with your lives, and then we can move on with our lives as well. Stay strong, stay informed, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I also want to thank you for being here and acknowledge that it is Friday afternoon and there's probably 100 other places you might rather be right now. So I really appreciate you taking the time to come here, hear from folks, hopefully ask some questions afterwards when we're around the space, and get whatever information you're hoping to get. So I'm Mariah Rollins. I'm with the Oregon Department of State Fire Marshal, and I wanted to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about what our agency does and maybe answer some questions about why Seaside Fire Rig might be in your driveway or Portland Fire. So at the highest level, OSFM mobilizes structural firefighters around the state. So we call that the Oregon Fire Mutual Aid System. So from Seaside to Enterprise to Christmas Valley, we work with structural fire agencies. In this case, we're working really closely with Jefferson County Fire District 1 and your own fire chief, Jeff Blake. So super proud of that relationship. That's really who we serve. We serve you, we serve Oregon, and we serve the Oregon Fire Service. You heard earlier there are 14 task forces here, and just for some perspective, that's 200 structural firefighters from 77 different fire agencies around the state here in your community. That is the largest fire department in the state of Oregon right now, so I hope that gives you just a little bit of relief to know that there's that many people here looking after your homes, your properties, your barns, your livelihoods. I just want you also to know and to hear we see you. I know it's a scary situation. There's been a lot going on, especially like Monday night, Tuesday night when there was a lot of activity. But we see you, we're here for you. There's a huge unified team, a lot of agencies that are here to support you. So again, thank you sincerely for taking the time, and I'll pass this to Rick.
Thank you, Mariah. My name is Rick Fletcher. I work for the Oregon Department of Forestry, and I think you've heard and seen a lot of different uniforms and a lot of different missions. We're here in your communities as well. We help protect both timbered and adjacent lands in the state of Oregon. And one of the things that is there's a lot of different agencies involved, and it seems like a lot of coordination, whether it's at our local levels with our rural fire districts, working with our rangeland fire protection associations, working with the Central Oregon Fire Management Service. Our goal, unified goal for all of us, is to ensure that when you see somebody in green pants and a yellow shirt, it doesn't matter who they work for, that you're getting the services that you want, that you're getting the professionalism that you want, that they're treating your property like their own and trying to do everything they can to make sure that that's preserved and taken care of. The reality is many of us do live in your communities. When this fire started, many of us were sitting in Prineville working with the Highland Fire, and many of our employees were in active evacuation during the Highland Fire who lived up in Juniper Canyon. Those same people responded out to this incident day one. They were in evacuation, they were worried about their families, just as you are. So that dedication here locally is critical. It does take a lot of coordination, a lot of relationships to build locally. But when we start to get into these larger situations and we bring in extra horsepower with complex incident management teams, that takes coordination at a national level. So we do have resources that are coming in from all over the country. We have resources coming in from Illinois, North Carolina, and Florida to come and help us with this. And that's because we're starting to lose that capacity locally and still maintain the ability to attack any new starts. So know that that coordination takes a lot of effort, and it's something that a lot of folks don't see behind the scenes, but it is entirely intended to serve you in the communities, to protect your homes, to protect your livelihoods. One of the communities that was heavily impacted in this was Ashwood, and I'd like to invite Mark up here to speak on behalf of the Rangeland Fire Protection Associations, as they coordinated really heavily with the State Fire Marshal's Office to save that community.
Thank you. I'm Mark Wunsch with the Grizzly RFPA. Just a little bit of background. There's about 28 RFPAs across the state, and a lot of that is most of those are ranchers, forest operators, landowners that are putting together this association with very little funding to help protect the lands that they own, manage, and live on. So specifically, the Grizzly RFPA is down in this south portion, and just the last couple days is when it kind of encroached in our area, but initial right off the bat, Grizzly was at the table helping. Ashwood Antelope RFPA covers most of this ground, which includes a lot of private grasslands and BLM ground. And the partnership that starts with not only the RFPAs, but BLM, U.S. Forest Service, ODF, and Oregon State Fire Marshals is crucial, especially in a situation like this. When it comes to a small fire, it's not as bad, but when it gets to this size and capacity, the inner workings and the unified command is crucial to have an effective operation. With that, there's been a lot of help from all these agencies. Like I said, these RFPAs are very ground driven, so membership based, but cover a lot of acres. Grizzly RFPA is 3 years in operation, and our jurisdiction is about 60,000 acres, and our revenue that we get from memberships is about $5,000. So we rely a lot on grants and the agencies over here for assistance with used equipment to help serve that, and in coordination with working with them on their land as well. A lot of the members of these associations have private grazing ground, but also run on either the grasslands, forests, or BLM ground. And so it's crucial to have a partnership with all these agencies and be able to protect these assets. I just wanted to kind of talk about the motto of Rangeland Fire Associations is neighbors helping neighbors. And 2 nights ago, we had a neighbor up in this area that had 200 cows that were getting encroached on by fire rather rapidly. They got a phone call out to some ranchers, and within about an hour, there were over 20 moving their 200 head of cows out of the front of this fire and onto the back to some safe ground. Well, that started right before dark, and I don't know if anyone in this room knows how easy it is to move black cows in the dark. Is not very easy. But by about 12 o'clock, we got them to some safe ground and moved on. But the value of this to the rancher, 200 cows, I mean, cows are up a little bit right now, but 200 cows right now is about $1 million worth of assets. So when you think about a home, our homes are important to us, but our cows are important to us, not only economic-wise, but emotion. And we work 365 days a year, and to lose animals is devastating. And so I just wanted to kind of tell that story because it goes back to the motto of neighbors helping neighbors regardless of the situation, dropping everything you have on your own plate to make sure your neighbor's safe, and that extends out to all our agencies, whether it's ODF, Oregon State Fire Marshal, U.S. Forest Service, or BLM. We couldn't be here. We couldn't do what we do without the great partnership and collaboration. And so I just, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you to all you guys and your teams for getting us and helping us and working together. So thank you.
All right, thank you. So to close us out, we're going to have the incident commanders from our team talk, and we're going to start with Lance Leidy.
Good evening, Lance Leidy. I'm an incident commander on the green team for the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office. On this fire, we're unified with my partner who will be speaking shortly from Northwest Team 10. There's been a lot of good messages and some great people over there that gave you kind of a synopsis of what's going on. I want to go back to the day we got dispatched here just for a brief minute. At about 2:30, I got notification that there was a fire over here. We've been kind of watching it. We had a conference call about 10 minutes later, and about 15 minutes later, I notified my team. We're at a conference call with them, and within an hour, we were on the road coming to Madras, this area. We got here, we got in brief about 8 o'clock that night, and we had resources out in the field helping out. When I say that is Mark hit on neighbors helping neighbors. One of our mottos is Oregonians helping Oregonians. And this is from across the state. In that conference call, the commissioner basically said, yeah, we just need to sign a delegation to work within your district. Because I will sign anything you want. Just please come and help us. And so we heard that call, and we made that happen. The other piece I want to talk about, since a lot of the stuff's already been covered, is your commissioners, your fire chief, your sheriff, and their staff, phenomenal. We got to meet with them, connect with them. They care about this community, and that's the reason that we're here, and they're a great bunch of people. So I just want to thank them for their support. And again, I'm going to thank the RFPA. It's been said a lot, but really makes a big difference in your community and the unprotected lands that are out there they take care of. So I'm going to save a little bit for my partner to speak on, and thank you all for being here, and thank you for the people online.
I want to correct that. There's nothing left to say. That's the danger of going last. My name is Steve North. I'm the Incident Commander of Northwest Team 10. We're a complex incident management team. The reason that they call us in is as the local resources and the local Type 3 teams engage on the fire, and it expands to the point that there's just a lot of people, right? It takes a much larger team to manage that amount of resources. So that's why we're called in to assist. We came to this incident with 85 people, and that's been climbing ever since. So this evening you've heard that the fire, and you probably didn't need us to tell you, it's been resistive to suppression action. I was really apprehensive earlier today because the fuel model changed as it went into the southeast portion of that fire. But as you've also heard, I was really pleased to hear or to see that fire actually got to a location that we feel much more comfortable that we can provide some control. And once again, the far majority of this fire is looking really good, but as that fire is pushing to the south and southeast, that right now looks really good. The change in the weather provides us an opportunity. I can assure you we have our foot on our gas. We're, as you've heard, we're coming up with those plans B and C to ensure that if in fact it squirts out again, that we are prepared for that. That's why you bring us here. I do also, although I know they've been acknowledged multiple times, but it's worth repeating again, the High Desert Type 3 team did a great job. That's a difficult thing to come into something like this while that fire is escalating and try to make a difference in it. They definitely made a difference. Your RFPA, wow, what a great system. The Office of State Fire Marshal, lots and lots and lots and lots of resources here to support you. And we have the Oregon Department of Forestry that have been great to work with. And last but not least, I do want to point out one of the reasons why that fire becomes in a location in a grass and timber fuel model, that it gets to a point that we can safely engage in that is because of the fuel treatments that have occurred down there. That is very, very important that it helps keep that fire to the ground so that we can get up around it. We had a lot of resources on that little piece at the bottom today, and right now it looks good, but not to give a pun, we're not out of the woods yet, right? We need a moderation in the weather. We need time to increase that containment, meaning we need time to make sure all the hot spots that are close enough to the line that if something happens, it spots over, that it won't take off running again. And last but not least, they've already said, I would anticipate if I lived here to see smoke out in there long after my team has left. It looks at this map like everything's gone, right? But that's not a reality. There are still trees and things that are gonna catch well into the interior, and it's just absolutely humanly impossible to mop that entire thing up. So with that, thank you for being here, and I'll turn it over. Thank you.
All right, well, that concludes our meeting tonight. I really hope it was informative for you and you got your answers already out of the presentations. If not, again, around the room are members of our team. We're going to have our agency administrators there. We're also going to have Red Cross that's represented, which, by the way, the shelter for the Red Cross is actually located here. And we also have some representative from the Deer Ridge Correctional Facility, because we know there's some questions. Your local fire chief is here if you want to know some local stuff. So thank you on behalf of the two incident management team online. I want to make sure if you do have questions, please put them in the comments. We'll try to get to you. Thank you again and have a wonderful evening.